apocalyptic images coming out of Australia.
Overnight, Hurricane Zeta barreling into the other top story of the day is the weather. From coast to coast.
This morning, waves thrashing Florida's coastline. This season, a 4 nights of torrential rain has seen floodwaters at the highest level.
Resulting in massive floods that are ravaging much of China. More than 200. The search is on for those still missing after the tornado outbreak in Tennessee that killed at least.
Turkey has been struck by a powerful earthquake. Offers 9G fall across high-level areas of the state this
There are
week.
now 6 fires burning at emergency levels.
Smoke is so intense and so thick you can see it from space.
A year ago, God sent you and me a message that in the year 2020, people would begin seeing many things clearly. He would show us signs. He would show us evidence with examples of coming events. He stated that we were to expect various types of disasters: hurricanes, volcanoes, fires, snow, earthquakes, tornadoes, high winds, hail, freezing temperatures, extreme heat, extreme drought, flooding, and even pest infestations. It also said that crawling and flying pestilences of some kind will be witnessed in every corner of the world. He also told us of a great sickness that would produce serious economic consequences. However, the most important thing is that these signs show that Jesus is about to return to this earth. As we begin this video, the calendar shows it is close to the end of the year 2020. Let's see if this is really true. If God begun to do what he said he would do, well, let's go back to the very beginning of 2020 and recall some of the things that have occurred. I was shown that God is grieving and crying over the events he must allow to happen. Let's start at the beginning of the year 2020 and review just a few of the things that started to happen as the year began. In January, just as the year began, an overnight rainstorm in Jakarta, Indonesia, dropped almost 15 inches of rain that caused 2 rivers to overflow. The deadly flash floods displaced tens of thousands and killed 66 people. Across the globe, something different happened. A strong 6.4 earthquake struck the island of Puerto Rico. It was part of a swarm of over 1,500 other earthquakes, magnitude 3 or higher, as a result of major damage to homes. More than 8,000 who were left homeless camped outdoors in crude shelters. A power plant that supplied over a quarter of the island's energy was so badly damaged that it had to be shut down. Damage to government structures was calculated in the hundreds of millions, and financial losses were estimated at over $3 billion. Then, a few days later, still in January, subtropical storm Kurumi produced intense storms and flash floods in Brazil, causing devastating landslides. A city of more than 2.5 million inhabitants reported the highest rainfall in over 110 years. The rain destroyed bridges, collapsed the roof of a mall, and killed over 70 individuals. But wait, still in January, Storm Gloria in Spain brought wind gusts of over 60 miles an hour killing at least 12 people. It lashed much of the eastern part of the country for 3 days. The storm cut electric power, forced the closure of schools, and interrupted road and rail connections. It also brought heavy snowfall, freezing rain, and massive waves that smashed into seafront promenades and damaged shops and restaurants. Quite the opposite was happening in South America. Rivers and reservoirs in Chile reached historic minimums. And across the world in Zimbabwe, the ongoing drought brought severe food insecurity. Cornfields wilted as a result of unrelenting heat and poor rainfall in southern Africa. Speaking of drought, in the state of California, we have had about a decade of drought. At the same time, Siberia was experiencing a warm January. The heat, combined with low soil moisture, contributed to widespread wildfires. Russia's Forest Service resorted to using explosives to battle the blazes. In Australia, at least 34 people died in massive bushfires that destroyed nearly 2,800 homes and killed over 1 billion animals. Scientists are afraid entire species may have been wiped out by the months of relentless fire. It was an unprecedented scale of burning, about 46 million acres across 72,000 square miles. In the meantime, something different was happening in the Philippines. The Taal volcano erupted, covering towns and villages in ash. Cracks and fissures appeared on roads. Many homes were damaged by the tremors. Schools were closed and thousands were forced to flee. The damage to agriculture was estimated at well over $62 million. These are just a few samples of what happened in January. Let's turn the calendar and look at February. In February, southwest Iran received a whole year's worth of rain in 3 days. The rain ruined thousands of homes, wiped out crops, and destroyed or damaged more than 300 bridges. In some areas, the massive flooding blocked all roads. At least 150 villages were left without electricity. In the United Kingdom, Storm Dennis followed Storm Kira in bringing extreme weather and record-breaking floods to the Wye Valley. Across the world in the Russian Kuril Islands, something different was taking place. A 7.0 earthquake. Another event mentioned in my dream 2020 year seen clearly was infestations. The dictionary defines an infestation as an invasion of harassing, undesirable, or troublesome insects, vermin, predatory animals, and the like. Still in the month of February, Australia experienced an infestation of hundreds of thousands of flying foxes, also known as fruit bats. They filled a town in North Queensland. The noise they produced was deafening. Some trees were so full of bats that they broke from the sheer weight of them. Emergency helicopters were unable to land at the local hospital while the bats were in flight. On top of all of this, the bat droppings created a terrible stench. Tourism in the area was affected. Meanwhile, in Kenya and other countries in the region experienced heavy rains and cyclones. As a result of the abundant rain, massive swarms of desert locusts multiplied and grew. Northern Kenya received a swarm estimated at 200 billion of the pest that covered 930 square miles, possibly the largest on record there. It wasn't just Kenya, but several other countries also experienced heavy infestation of locusts. For example, Ethiopia, Uganda, Somalia, Eritrea, India, Pakistan, Iran, Yemen, Oman, and Saudi Arabia. It was the worst infestation in 70 years, and it continued into the month of March. Let's turn to calendar March and see a few examples of what God was showing related to the dream 2020, year seen clearly. As March began, another earthquake shook the Russian Kuril Islands. The magnitude of this one was 7.5, even stronger than the one in February. Next, an unusual cyclone as strong as a Category 1 hurricane formed quickly over Egypt. It was accompanied by sandstorms, destructive winds, and torrential downpours that wreaked havoc throughout the Middle East. In Egypt, it killed 21 people and caused widespread flooding and damage. Israel, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and Iraq all experienced flooding and destruction. Some experts have estimated that for this region time of year, the storm's intensity was exceptionally rare. Still in the month of March, and mostly in the Nashville, Tennessee area, EF3 and EF4 tornadoes damaged many homes, businesses, vehicles, and airplanes. The tornadoes injured hundreds, killed 28, and caused billions of dollars in damage. What about April?